Hi everyone, my name is John Cleese. I'm a board member with Restoration Earth. Restoration Earth, if you're not familiar with our organization, is really dedicated to advancing the use of native plants throughout landscapes, both residential and corporate. And today we thought it'd be very interesting to show you one of the projects we're going to be working on here in Southwest Michigan. This is a homeowner that has multiple acres of land. It's land that they like to keep in the family, but they wanted to do something different for the environment and specifically really wanted to help feed the birds and the insects and create a large meadow to help all of our pollinators. So we thought we'd bring you out today because part of Restoration Earth Services is to not only design but install some of these projects when they're appropriate. And for us, we like to look for projects that are large residential projects where we are able to put a sign up for the public to show what's going on, that the public has access to, so that we can show how these landscapes can look very different from what we're used to in most of our lives. And so we brought you out here today. We're just off of Hutchins Lake, and I'm going to start right here. So this is a drainage ditch for a pond. That is just up the way here. Nothing got seeded here. It's a little bit of overgrown. It definitely has some natives in here. A lot of it is, just more grasses and things like that and some invasives. But it was interesting to see that even though we're in a drought here in West Michigan, a little cardinal flower managed to get itself going. And I actually think I see the beginnings of the native hibiscus. You can see here, none of it bloomed. But I think that if you looked at some of our other videos, looks like the hibiscus started to move in. And actually, we do have boneset. We have common boneset, which is the white that also popped in. So even when you don't plant natives of course are already out here and the seeds are already in the ground and they're gonna find their way. But as we approach this project, one of the first things we're probably gonna do is rework this as more of a rain garden, obviously, because it's going to have some overflow from the pond. And the homeowner had covered this up because for weddings and other events that they have out on the property, they did want to be able to have the trucks go through. So what I've talked to them about is let's shrink that down. You can still have about a 15-foot crossover from the drainage area, but let's bring this all back to a rain garden. And what I find is interesting, already this homeowner has started to think about ways to use the property that aren't destroying what's already here. Now, a lot of people would just fill this all in because it's like, oh, I don't want to ditch on the property. But I look at it, and we look at it here at Restoration Earth, it's like, why, right? Perfect opportunity for you to plant those large rain gardens that we all love, capture the rainwater on the property. And if we pan out to this side, all of this area, we will keep some of the grass, of course, for when they have weddings and other family events, but most of what you're seeing is going to be turned into a native meadow. And while this isn't this property itself with this grass isn't heavily fertilized and it is not irrigated, what is happening underneath here, underneath all of the grass you see, is really not a lot. Most grasses are only, if you're planting the grasses in your lawn, they're about an inch thick for bluegrass. There might be some native grasses in here and some wilder grasses that are a little bit longer. But for the most part, it's very dry underneath this property because there are no deep roots that are going in like you have with native plants to help secure that moisture down in the ground. So while we will be feeding wildlife when we turn this into a meadow, we're also going to allow this property to retain a lot of the water. If I am wrong in this statistic, it'll be underneath the video, but I was reading something the other day that if you have a 7-inch rainfall within an hour, a typical lawn will only absorb a half to 1 inch of that rain. But a native meadow will take all 7 inches of that rain in an hour. So when we talk about urban flooding, when we talk about other climatic changes that we think are happening, sometimes we have to look in our own backyards of what we've done. And if we have all that runoff coming into grass, going into the gutters, going out into the tubes, it's not being absorbed into the ground. So one of the wonderful things you can do when you put in a native meadow or a native planting, if it's small, large, whatever, is to keep a lot of that water on the property, and let's store that back into the ground where it belongs. So we will follow this property as we go along with development, but we thought we wanted to show you an example of what we're looking for at Restoration Earth. So again, if you have a property like this or a corporate campus, we'd love to hear from you. You can go to our website at restoration-earth.org, learn more about the work that we're doing, and of course, if you'd like to donate, that always helps us with our mission. So again, my name is John Cleese, and I hope you'll tune in again soon.